I've always been interested in PVMing challenges and firecapes, and after watching some of Randy's old firecape record videos, I decided to give it a shot myself. I link his channel in the description, he makes some really entertaining videos, so check him out. And I'm really thankful for the support lately, we are really close to 40,000 subscribers. So if you enjoyed this video, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. So I had to find a way to try and break the combat level 30 firecape record on an ultimate Ironman. So let's get into the route and hopefully you learn a handful of things watching this video. Enjoy! So the first thing I did was some quests in Lumbridge. First quest I did was the Rune Mysteries quest. I needed this for the Abyss mini quest and we get into that later. And while doing the Rune Mysteries quest, I also worked on the Restless Ghost quest because it is really easy to combine these two quests, and the Restless Ghost quest got me my first prayer levels. I obviously need 43 prayer for the protection prayers, so the little bit of prayer XP early from this quest was really helpful. Got myself a beautiful lamp while working on my first thieving levels, and that actually got me 10 prayer, so very nice. The genie lock is strong on the account. So since I made my way over to Ardoon, I decided to go to the gnome course. The agility levels are going to be helpful later on because we need to do the Grand Tree quest, and that requires 25 agility. And the early agility levels will help me with my run energy. We went to Varrock to get into my best prayer method, but before we started prayer, I wanted to quickly get 9 Hunter and Slayer. I need the Slayer for the Animal Magnetism quest, and the Hunter levels are going to be really important for my best money making method. So I quickly picked up myself the 3 levels. So my prayer method was actually fairly simple but extremely overpowered. I went to the Boneyard in the Wilderness level 27 and picked up the Big Bone spawn, and I hopped through all the worlds to get myself a full inventory of Big Bones. I then walked to the Chaos Altar near the Chaos Fanatic and used the bones on the altar. You only use 50% of the bones, so you basically get 1.5 times the XP plus the bonus of using it on the altar, so the method was extremely overpowered. I never did it before on any account, because you never really do this on an ultimate Ironman. But if you want yourself 43 prayer, I would definitely recommend using this method because you don't really have anything to lose early on. And I was getting around 15,000 XP per hour without any requirements. And I got myself 19 prayer in the first trip. So I took a small break from prayer to get myself some mining levels. Since I completed the Rune Mysteries quest, I was able to mine Essence. And one of the goals early on was completing the Lumbridge Easy Diary, and one of the requirements was 15 mining, so I decided to get myself 15 mining at the Essence mine. And I was working on the Abyss quest, because one of the Lumbridge Diary tasks is making some water runes. And the only way for me to do this is by entering the Abyss. So that's what we did. We went to the Abyss with 10 hit points and a pickaxe, and as you can see I spam clicked the mining area, and the hit points is actually stalled. I cannot get hit. So as long as I spam click the spot and get through the rocks, I should be able to survive. And it took me 2 attempts to find a mining spot close by. And there we go, we went through the rocks. We quickly drank the tea, but we didn't take any damage. And we got through, so I was able to get to the water altar and complete the diary task, so that was amazing. Alright, we went back to the Chaos Altar and I got myself the first protection prayer and 37 prayer. So the goal level for magic on this account was 27, and I actually found out that X marks the spot quest gives an XP lamp, and this XP lamp helped me get my first few magic levels, and we will get into that later, but that did speed it up a little bit because the quest legit took like 5 minutes. We went back to the Chaos Altar to get another prayer level. We got ourselves 40 prayer this time for range protect. That means 3 more levels to go for the last protection prayer. Very nice. And there it is, 43 prayer, the last prayer level we need on this account. That is one of the bigger goals out of the way, and also the first big goal that we need for the fire cape. The Boneyard was extremely OP and this only took about 3.5 hours. Beautiful. Back with some skilling, we decided to get some more requirements for the Lumbridge Diary, and burning and chopping an oak log was one of them, so quick and easy requirement out of the way, and another diary task out of the way as well. Knocked out another quest, Cook's Assistant, so I can cook a bread on the range, and that is another task completed. So after finishing the prayer in the wilderness, I decided to get myself the 10,000 GP from the stronghold because I didn't really have anything to risk. So we got the 10,000 GP and I decided to spend that GP on fletching because the hardest requirement on this account is going to be 58 fletching. So we needed a lot of money for that, and the first 10,000 GP helped out a lot to get myself some free levels. Made myself a lot of arrow shafts. This brought me back to my Cramj account in the first week using the anvil and buying bronze bars. It is a really nice method to get some early smithing levels, and I made the arrow tips for fletching. And I got myself some early smithing levels as well. Next task on the list, 15 fishing done, and we got ourselves an angelfish for the next lumberage task. We moved over to the oak logs and got myself a lot more arrow shafts. And I decided to make all the arrow tips we made earlier into arrows. And we got ourselves 25 fletching, beautiful. So out of the 10,000 GP we got from the stronghold, we got 16 smithing and 25 fletching. That is some nice early levels that we need. So after getting the first magic levels from the quest early on, I decided to go to the Archaeos library and get myself the 27 magic requirement from using the Archaeos library books on magic. Now this didn't take too long. I think in total this took about an hour to get, and I basically had to find as many books as I can and give them to the guys at the library here. And with the RuneLight plugin this was extremely overpowered as well. I wanted to get this out of the way as fast as possible, so there we go, close to 27 magic, we are done. I decided to go back to woodcutting and fletching and got myself 30 woodcutting and 30 fletching. I need woodcutting levels for the animal magnetism quest, so I need to do woodcutting anyways, but I also need 58 fletching as I mentioned earlier. I need 58 fletching for the mithril crossbow and the ability to make emerald bolts. And there's 35 woodcutting as well, very nice. It was about time to start Hunter. We were already level 9 from the Verf Museum mini quest, so that was really nice. And we started doing birds, and I already took the butterfly jars because the best way to train Hunter is catching butterflies. So as soon as I had level 15 Hunter, we did butterflies and grinded butterflies and birds combined until level 25. So the reason I decided to do Hunter on this account is actually Magpie and Ninja Implings because they have a lot of valuable drops. So after finishing Hunter in the woodland area, I decided to do the Dwarf Cannon quest because the quest area is actually really close on my way to the snowy area. So I decided to quickly do the quest while being in the area. I needed the cannon for a couple things, for range training without getting hit points XP, and I needed the cannon for some quest bosses and the Slayer XP required for the animal magnetism quest. So yeah, I knocked out the quest on the way, and I decided to make my way over to the snowy area to continue training Hunter. So training in the snowy areas is very similar to the woodlands. I'm still using my bird snares and try and catch as many butterflies as possible. There's a butterfly at level 25 and level 35. So I decided to stay here until 43 Hunter, because 43 Hunter unlocks the next best in slot Hunter method, and for that we have to go back to the woodland. Made my way over to the spotted cabbage, the best Hunter method I can do. And at this point we were also completely done with bird snares and butterflies. And after the spotted cabbage I'm going to do salamanders until 74 to get myself to the Implings. One nice thing about this grind is I can actually trade in the furs for a cape, and the cape has a weight reduction bonus. So one struggle while playing this account was getting around the game, because I didn't really have any teleports. The only teleports I really had was home teleport and minigame teleports. Sometimes I had to wait for teleports to come up again, but I was basically using the minigame teleports to last man standing for run energy restoration and a Lumbridge teleport, and home teleport to get to Lumbridge as well. I used a book from Draenor Village to get to Varrock, and minigame teleports such as the fishing trawler and the barbarian assault to get to Ardun. And with those teleports I was able to get around the game for the most part. Alright, made my way over to the desert for the orange salamanders, and I needed to grind Hunter here for a couple hours to get myself 59 Hunter for red salamanders. So yeah, that's what we did. I was able to keep the exact same inventory, teleport to Castle Wars and make my way over to the red salamander spot. And grind my Hunter for another couple hours to get myself 67 Hunter for black salamanders in the wilderness. Now normally on a normal Ultimate Ironman you would never do Black Salamanders because they're in the wilderness, but on this account I did Hunter early on purpose because I didn't really have anything to lose. Basically the same with the prayer method we did earlier, but yeah, I was able to use the wilderness Hunter method, which is actually the best Hunter method because chins are way too slow on that level. So yeah, that was an awesome way to train. For the first time ever I did Black Salamanders in this game. So yeah, I decided to get myself 74 Hunter, which took a couple more hours, and finish the Hunter grind. Alright, so as soon as I hit the Hunter level, I decided to make my way over to Puro, and the only way to get there without the Lost City quest is finding a crop circle in the mainland. So I made my way over to Draenor village and just hopped around until I found a crop circle and teleported to Puro to get myself a free net and a free Impling jar. And I basically multiplied the Impling jar by catching regular Implings and trading them in for more jars. And I was ready to catch a lot of Implings for money and 2 secret items from Ninja Implings. At first I thought I wasn't gonna be able to do this because you get strength XP if you pass the weed barriers. But apparently you only get strength XP in a certain direction, and you actually rarely get strength XP, and when you do get strength XP you only get like 1 or 2 XP. So I was able to do this for a really long time before I actually got the strength level, and I actually never ended up getting close to the strength level, so yeah, that was really nice. Because Pure is a lot better than using the mainland for Implings. And yeah, as you can see there's a lot of valuable drops from Implings. I have a rune scimitar from Ninja Implings. I got a dragon dagger from Magpies, and there's a bunch more drops that I can get and sell. And this is what an average inventory looks like after a full trip of Implings. And I decided to sell all the items to the general store in Kremja because the selling price is actually more in this general store. I did have the Explorer ring from the Lumbridge Easy Diary at this point, so I could use this for low alking, because you get 30 free low alks every day. Although if you sell them to the general store you get over the low alk price. So yeah, this was my shop to sell everything and make a lot of money. So yeah, I made 160,000 GP for my first inventory, and as you can see next to my cash tag there's strong weapon poison, and that is one of the secret items from Ninja Imps. It is the best way to obtain a weapon poison, and if I use this potion on any weapon I'm able to start with a poison damage of 5, which will be a very important item for the fight caves attempt. And it's also going to help me with some questing. And we use the first weapon poison on an iron dagger, which we will use for a couple quests later on. And this is the second Impling inventory. Look at the amount of rune items. This is actually an insane money making method without many requirements. And also the second secret items from Ninja Imps is the prayer potions. As you can see, I have 4 prayer potions. I need a total of 28 prayer potion 3 doses, and you get 4 every time from Ninja Imps. And with this method I can skip herblore, farming and thieving completely and just go for prayer potions straight away from Ninja Imps that we need for the fight caves attempt. Which actually saves me a lot of time since I'm doing this anyways for money, and being able to pick up the prayer potions on the way was amazing. Alright, and there's the last Ninja Impling we need. 28 prayer potions obtained, and I should be able to get close to the amount of money I need for the cannon after selling this. But I will probably do a couple more Impling trips to get more money, so I have some spare money left over after buying the cannon. Alright, there it is. All the money we need for the cannon. We got all the prayer pots, and I want to keep the weapon poisons because I want to use one of these weapon poisons on a bone dagger. And to get the bone dagger we need to do a couple quests first, but the bone dagger has a really good spec, and that will help me in the fight caves as well. So yeah, that's what I decided to do. Time for some quests. Lost Tribe quest completed. And I decided to do the Night Sword quest to get myself a head start in smithing, because I need to get 53 smithing for the Mithril Axe for the Animal Magnetism quest, and 53 smithing for Mithril Bolts. This quest got me close to 35 smithing for cannonballs, so I decided to buy my cannon, and if I'm not using the cannon I can just put it down, and whenever it disappears it goes back to the dwarf, so I can get it back at any time. So I made my way over to blast furnace to start making some cannonballs, because the cannonballs are required to train Slayer, because the goal level for Slayer was 18 and the only way for me to get this is by cannoning Slayer monsters. So I decided to get as many combat requirements out of the way as soon as possible. So I did a couple Slayer tasks. So my route for making cannonballs was fairly simple. I think this is the best way to make cannonballs on any 10 hit points accounts, but basically I made steel bars and blast furnace. I took the minecart to the Grand Exchange and I used the agility shortcut to Edgefield to use the furnace and made my cannonballs over there. And then I made my way back to the blast furnace to make some more steel bars and repeat that process. And with this method I got all the cannonballs required to get the Slay level and later on to get the 36 range requirement that I needed for the mithril crossbow. So this was another really good task. I got zombies and I decided to cannon the zombies in the drainer sewers. I basically just set up my cannon, shoot the cannon, and I was just waiting upstairs. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to get melee protect early on, because I can basically use melee protect for whatever monster I want and I don't have any risk dying, so it really helped out while training Slayer and range. So I did play this account while playing my Cramja account and my main account for the most part, and I had a lot of downtime, so I did a lot of AFK woodcutting and fletching, and I got myself 50 woodcutting here and I'm, as you can see, 46 fletching so far. So we're slowly getting to that 58 fletching mark, and woodcutting was a really easy way to get myself some free AFK levels, so I did a lot of that in between. So I had a couple more quests left to go on this account, and one of them was the Tree Gnome Village quest. This is a really easy quest for attack XP. Attack levels didn't really level me up in combat, so I was able to get some free attack levels. And the reason for getting a lot of attack levels was the accuracy on the dagger, because this was going to help me in the fight caves. So yeah, I decided to knock out the Tree Gnome Village quest, and after this I started working on the Grand Tree quest. And earlier in the video we got all the requirements for the Grand Tree quest, so we were able to do this straight away after. These quests were fairly easy to do. All I had to do was basically cannon down the bosses and get through the quests. And that got me a level of 37 attack. And I got myself some more free agility levels. So the last goblin quest that I had to do was Death of the Dorshun. Actually really enjoyed this quest and the boss was fairly easy. All I had to do was poison the end boss and just wait behind the crate and deal damage at the end to kill him. So the only annoying part about this quest was getting the ham set. I think this took me a couple hours to get actually, because you need 2 full ham sets. But I did keep a couple ham pieces from the Lost Tribe quest, so that saved me a little bit of time. But yeah, got that quest out of the way, and with this quest completed I am now able to use the Bone Dagger spec. And the spec has a 100% chance to hit. So even if I hit a 0 with the spec, I am able to poison the enemy, which is a 1 in 6 chance with melee. And it was necessary to do this quest as soon as possible, because the quest reward gave me range XP, so it was good to get this out of the way before cannoning the last range levels. So the next questing series I decided to work on was Animal Magnetism, and the requirements for this were Priest in Peril and Ernest the Chicken, 2 relatively easy quests, so I finished those real quickly. Priest in Peril I had to kill 2 monsters, the Temple Guard, which I killed with the Poison Dagger, and I had to kill a Zamrak mage in the temple, and I used my cannon for that. I just set up my cannon, used protection prayers and went upstairs, and the cannon was just killing the mages for the key that I needed. So yeah, with the cannon the Priest in Peril quest was fairly easy, and it gave me access to Mauritania for my best ranging method with the cannon. So after completing the quest I decided to work on some more smithing and make a lot more cannonballs for range, and this got me 36 range. Now I really like this spot. All I had to do was stand slightly east and just fill up the cannon and walk back. If you're standing in the green area, the ghouls cannot attack you, so basically all you have to do is recharge the cannon and see your range levels fly up. And this is the last range level I need before going to the fight caves. So after finishing the last range level I really didn't need the cannon anymore. And I needed to make some more money, so I was planning on doing ham chests for the last bit of money I needed for the last smithing levels. But then I thought I might as well try and sell the cannon back and see if I can get some money, and I actually made 300,000 GP back from selling the cannon, so that was a perfect way to get a lot of GP for smithing. So I showed you guys my method for making cannonballs earlier, but now that I didn't have to make cannonballs anymore, I needed to find a way to train my smithing as fast as possible. And thanks to Sherlockness we came up with the following route. We make steel bars in the blast furnace and buy a ticket to the Dwarven area, buy a hammer in the general store, and then we can use the anvil in the mountain. Now I completely forgot about this anvil, but it's actually really convenient because it's really close to the cart system. So we can go back and forth between this spot and blast furnace. And I decided to make some arrow tips because I still needed a lot of fletching XP. And by making some arrows, I was able to get some really easy fletching XP and finish the smithing levels that I needed to make myself a mithril crossbow and mithril bolts. And there's 50 smithing, beautiful. And 51 smithing, which is the requirement for the mithril axe that we can use for wood cutting to get the last fletching levels. And the mithril axe is required for the animal magnetism quest. And smithing is a great way to obtain the axe. Next thing on the list is buying all of the feathers and making all of the headless arrows. And make all these steel arrows. I decided to make all of these steel arrows right now because I wanted to get the last few smithing levels with mithril. And the first level we got is 50 fletching. And there's 54 fletching, which is the requirement to make a mithril crossbow. I can actually buy the maple stock and the mithril limbs in the dwarven mine. So I don't actually have to make it, but it is a requirement to hammer the limbs and the crossbow stock together. That is another big goal out of the way that we need for the fire cape. And we need 4 more levels to make the emerald bolts. So I had a clue scroll left over from the ham members and I decided to try and do it. And guess what? I got a koi from that. And I actually need a koi for the fight cave setup, so that saved me a little bit of time. And there's the final smithing level we need on the account, 53 smithing to make mithril bolts. The only thing we need to do left on this account now is get the last fletching levels and complete the animal magnetism quest. To get emerald bolts I do need to cut some emeralds, and for that we need 27 crafting. So I decided to do the sheep shearer quest to get myself 10 crafting for bowstrings. And with this level we can make some maple longbows for the last fletching levels. And get some free crafting XP on the way. You might have noticed, but I did have all the requirements for the animal magnetism quest except from Slayer. I still needed one more Slayer level. And I ended up getting a Banshees task after the Priest Impaler quest. And the only way to kill Banshees is with actual combat, because you cannot use a cannon in the Slayer tower. So I decided to wait for one more XP random to get myself the last Slayer level. And I got lucky and got the genie while doing the last fletching level, so that finished 18 Slayer. And I also decided to finish the longest grind on this account, 58 fletching. The last skill requirement we needed for the fight caves attempt. 58 fletching to make emerald bolts. And we made some money to buy some emeralds and make the last few mithril bolts. So we are almost ready now. I decided to finish the last crafting levels in Mauritania. You can actually take the charter ship to Port Pasmadas after completing Priest Impaler and entering the Mauritania area. So you don't really need anything to train your crafting here except from Priest Impaler, so that is awesome. I didn't know this beforehand, but when I was watching the quest guide of Slay Music, he mentioned that in a video, and that actually saved me a lot of time. So yeah, I decided to finish my last crafting levels here, the level I need for emeralds, and the last level I need to make the emerald bolts. In order to get the crossbow string, I decided to kill a bear because you cannot actually poison a cow. All I had to do was poison a bear and get the meat and make that into a crossbow string to finish my weapon. There it is, the mithril crossbow completed. And as you can see, I have a holy symbol in my inventory. This will also be my best in slot amulet for the fight case because it gives me 8 prayer bonus. And I need one for the animal magnetism quest. Let's work on the last couple things before we are ready for the fight caves attempt. And there we go, that is the last quest on the account out of the way. I now have an attractor for my mithril bolts. And as you can see, I got 32 quest points from this. Now this is actually perfect because my best in slot shield will be an anti-dragon shield because it doesn't lower down my range attack. So with the 32 quest points I can start the Dragon Slay quest and get to the point where I can ask for an anti-dragon shield and use that in my shield slot for the fight caves attempt. So with the last bit of money left over, I decided to make the trip to the wilderness. I suicided in Lumbridge with all of my items by pickpocketing men, and I had to go to the mage bank to get myself some nature runes and cosmic runes for the bolt enchantments, because the emerald bolts enchanted have around a 55% to poison the enemy, and the poison starts with 5, so they are extremely strong, but I did need some cosmic runes. So we made the quick trip to the wilderness. There it is, 30 magic, the last magic level I'm going to get, and the final stats on the account are 10 hit points, 37 attack, 36 range, 43 prayer and 30 magic. And we have 700 bolts to use in the fight caves. And this is what the gear looks like. We have a little bit of range attack and prayer bonus combination. And we have the mithril crossbow, the attractor and the bone dagger for poisoning. So yeah, we are ready for the attempt. We're going to prepare the inventory and we can start the fight caves attempt. Spend the last bit of GP on Karambons and we have to unload the prayer potions we got from Ninja Implings. So my plan of beating the lowest combat Ultimate Ironman fight cave was fairly simple but very time consuming. Fight cave waves are actually predictable based on the first 2 or 3 spawns in the fight caves, and I was looking for rotation number 2. I reached out to CamQ and he said that rotation 2 has the best possible spawns in the fight caves, and I went through every single wave and looked at the best way of safe spotting every single monster and killing every monster in each wave one by one as much as I could. The current record is level 30 on an Ultimate Ironman, and Randy used the mithril crossbow as well to poison everything. But what he didn't use was melee, and by bringing melee and killing as much as I could with melee, I was getting fewer range and hit points XP and end in a lower combat. With this method I would end at either 28 or 29 combat instead of level 30. I used the bone dagger to kill all of the melee monsters. This included bats, blobs and the big melee boys. And I used the emerald bolts to kill all the rangers and the mages. And this is how I got myself through the caves basically. There are multiple different safe spots in the fight caves, and I used the corners as much as I could to kill all the melee monsters. I wasn't always able to safe spot the meleeers. Here's an example of wave 37. On the south side of this rock, the major was waiting for me. And this was my safest way of getting through the wave. Basically getting rid of the melee monsters on the other side of the rock. And prayer flicking everything and just poisoning all of the melee monsters down. And after I killed the melee monsters, I went to the other side and poisoned the major and just waited. Every major required a 3 poison hit and every ranger required 1 poison hit. All of the meleeers required 2 poison hits. So at this point we were at wave 37 in the fight caves, and this already took over 10 hours since I have to poison everything and this takes a really long amount of time. But it was honestly really fun to do it. And since I started on 10 hit points, I really only have 1 chance, because I can basically get 1 hit at any given time in this cave. So I had to make sure I did not make any mistakes prayer flicking here. When I was using melee, I was just waiting and hoping for the poison to hit in. And with range it's actually really easy to recognize the poison with the bolts, because the poison bolts have a weird sound effect. So as soon as I heard these sound effects, even if I hit a 0, I knew it was poisoned, and I could basically just chill behind the rock and wait for around 6 minutes before going back to re-poison it. So wave 38 was my first ranger and major, and by logging out I gave myself enough time to position myself. And as you can see, it was really easy to line up the major and the ranger and just get rid of them one by one with the poison bolts. And by looking at the picture of the spawn, I was able to position myself, and that's basically what I did with each wave. Maybe not. This spawn was different than I expected. Now I'm dead. Unfortunately, that is how the Fire Cape adventure ended. I tried to stand west of the North Rock because I was pretty confident that the Ranger was gonna get trapped next to the Major. But I didn't realize the Major had actually such an incredible range. Now, I've done a lot of fight caves in the past, but this just slipped my mind, and unfortunately the Ranger was able to sneak up to me. I was able to prey flick the Major and the Ranger for a bit, but the poison sound on my crossbow threw me off and I misflicked and died. Which is really unfortunate, a really unfortunate way to die. A much safer way to complete this wave would have been starting in the northeast top of this wave and trap the ranger, so I only had the major on me. But the bad thing about this is I had to prey flick the major and basically prey flick it until it died with poison. Now this is very possible, but in my mind I would have been able to trap the ranger and kill the ranger before the major and safe spot the major again to make this wave a lot easier. Unfortunately, this is not what happened, so I made it way too difficult for myself. Not every story has a successful end, but I had a lot of fun trying this, and my question to you guys is, should I try this again on a new account sometime in the future? There are plenty of things I can improve on this route. One thing will be bringing a rune dagger, because for some reason an iron dagger and a rune dagger both hit 1 on 1 strength, but the rune dagger has a lot more accuracy bonus. And there's a couple more things I could improve. I spent around a total of 75 hours to prepare this account while playing my other account, so honestly not that bad. A really fun side project, and I've always been interested in stuff like this. And I'm 100% sure I can do this. It takes a long amount of time to get an account like this ready, and the mistake is in a small corner. Because I only really have one chance to do this. Because if I die in a high wave, I got too much range and hit points XP and I would not be the lowest combat anymore. So yeah, let me guys know, do you guys want me to do this again in the future? If you guys enjoyed this challenge, a subscription would mean the world to me, and I'm on Twitter and Twitch, which I will link in the description. Thanks for watching and have a nice day, until next run.